Welcome to another episode of Decoding the Creek so you can find more gold. My channel's about educating people on how to find gold, and a lot of the time it comes down to spotting the tiny little differences in what's going on in the creek so that you can understand where the gold is falling out and why. This is our beautiful creek we're working today, and it has chunky gold but also extremely fine gold. The chunky gold is well water worn and very old. It's been traveling down the system for quite a long time. But a lot of the very fine gold has been released from hard rock ore that's also traveling down the same system because they're hard rock mines that intersect the creek. And when it floods hard here. See that log jam behind me? That's a good indication to show you how deep the water actually gets. We're talking between 8 and 12 feet. And now to decode it. Log jams like this one cause the water level to rise. The water's going to have to be up here somewhere to get over it, meaning that this works much like a dam. There's a waist deep section of water just there, and we've got a lot of erosion, meaning that there is a downforce there for some reason. When there's a downforce, it's lifting gravels up out of this hole and starting to distribute them across this section here. This is our first key to the mystery. We have erosion. You always need erosion in the river banks for you to have a concentration of gold. Because our erosion is just here, all that soil has to come up and out and get distributed across this plain. I'm going to try to show you this, but it's going to be a little difficult. Think of gold distribution like this. Gold is everywhere in creeks like this, but it might only be 1 or 2 specks every 10 pans, something you wouldn't work. But when you've got thigh deep erosion, you think about the fact that there's probably 400 or 500 pans in the amount of dirt here, suddenly that's a lot of specks. And those specks are going that way. Even though this is a straight here, that dam is slowing down the water velocity enough that it's starting to distribute that eroded gravel across here. Now when you get up to this section, a lot of people would get really excited by the fact that there's a lot of bigger rocks here, and this is where they would start testing. If we look at it in wider context though, we actually have what's called an alluvial fan. You can see just here is the edge of the rocks, and then it starts coming in nice and tight back to the erosion. Meaning all of that stuff was put there before the water filled up that dam, because the water velocity was enough that it was able to lift those big rocks up and push them there. Once that dam's up, it's going to start depositing sediment. That's all this fine bullshit. Gold is the densest thing in any creek, so it takes the first opportunity in velocity drop to fall out. That is where the first big rocks start accumulating, which is right here. Where we've got a mass accumulation of rocks and quite clearly an elevation drop means that the majority of the dirt was deposited here. This dirt is not as dense as gold. I took a test pan from here and I got 3 nanodots. I took a test pan from over here and I got 1 nanodot. Look at what happens when I take a test pan from the first big rocks. Always trying to put tripods together because balancing phones on rocks is a real pain in the ass. We're 100% relying on the density of gold to take advantage of the first drop in velocity of water. So if we've got erosion, the deposition or the depositing of gravel and the depositing of gold will happen the first opportunity the water has to slow down. And that's not always the inside bend, it's not always behind an obstruction. Sometimes it's just due to water depth or flow. Alright, the potato pan swirl, the moment of truth. Get rid of the front gravels, there won't be anything in that. We've got some okay heavies, that's the darker colour material here. We have gold. Oh yeah, we got gold. We got gold. Couple of nanodots down there. We come up and do top gravels at the top of the run, and we end up with chunkier pieces and more of them. Now I know that's not a Bonanza City just yet, but they were top gravels. But the fact is, there's probably 20 small pieces of gold there and 1 nice flake. That indicates that there's going to be better gold on the bottom. I'll dig down and see what we get. Bedrock in this area is very deep, so I'm unlikely to find that, but that's the first sign of not quite a clay, but a much more denser silt. So maybe that's our false bottom. And the results, well, it's a Bonanza City, but it's getting better. There is a long way down in that hole to go before we hit a true clay layer. Nonetheless, that silt layer is providing some decent speck counts. Probably absolutely worth bringing out a little river sluice to this spot and processing this dirt to see what you get. And I think once I get on the bottom, it'll probably have a pretty decent little payday.